rate of this COVID-19 is going down. Now they're giving you deaths with which they're padding. Colorado today admitted that their numbers are wrong and they took 1,000 deaths off their rolls because there were people that died of other diseases. We're counting people that die of a car crash if they have the virus. Now the top number is wrong. And the bottom number is wrong because they're giving you what they call cases. They're not cases, they're positive tests. And they're not per 100,000 population. That's what it should be. Now, what I mean by that is, most of you have had chickenpox when you were kids. But you say, if I ask you if you have it now, you'd say no, but you have the virus. If I tested you for chickenpox virus, you'd be positive. But it's dormant in you because you have antibodies, but you don't have the disease. Senator Paul had tested positive for the virus, and he quarantined himself for 14 days. And when he came out of quarantine, they said, "What were your symptoms?" He said, "I had none." He had the virus, but he didn't have the disease. So the top number is being padded. The bottom number should be per 100,000 population. We're being led astray. Those numbers are going into the worst case scenario computer. And of course the numbers come out wrong. If you listen to a weather report and they tell you that there is a hurricane in the Caribbean, they say, well, it could go up the coast and hit the Atlantic seaboard. It could turn left to Tampa. It might go out to sea and not affect anybody. But board up your windows, protect yourself, and hope for the best. They didn't give us any hope. They don't want to give us any hope. If they give you any hope, they really ridicule that person. How dare you? They're giving you the worst case scenario based on inadequate data, and the information is coming out wrong. And if I dare say as a doctor, this is no different than the other flus and viruses, people come down on me. This is no different than SARS. This is no different than the swine flu, which was terrible. This was no different than the Hong Kong flu, the Asian flu. And they all say, well, it might be like 1918. That's not possible. Do you know why? We had 2.5 million men come home from war. They were malnourished and they were dehydrated. And we gave them a parade down Broadway in New York with another couple of million people. Then we spread them all over the country. We didn't know what we know now. We didn't have hospitals like we do now. We didn't have drugs like we have now. We didn't have any kind of equipment like we have now. It's not true. They just came out with a study that showed, you probably heard it, in New York City, 67% of the people that died were at home. Sheltering at home doesn't work. So they get the information that sheltering at home doesn't work. So what do? Let's shelter at home more. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Let's talk about masks. Hardly any of you have masks. But you go into Walmart, they give you a dirty look. My wife went into a store, and another doctor's wife, who she knows, who was wearing a mask, walked by her and said, "Oh, you don't care about people, huh?" My wife is a very compassionate, considerate woman. She's been a nurse for 35 years, a psych nurse, very, very difficult field. And this person tells her she doesn't have compassion for others. Don't let them do that to you. They say we have to protect the vulnerable. What about the 30 million people they have told are non-essential? Do you know that somebody who's worked at a job for 20 years and he supported himself and he supported his wife and his kids, he's not essential? I see a sign here that Governor Newsom is not essential. There you go, non-essential Newsom. Now, I am very upset of two groups of people. I'll be very honest with you. Number one, doctors. The doctors have not been seeing their patients. You know what that does? There's patients that I see who have diabetes, who have congestive heart failure, who have COPD, who have chronic kidney disease. They need to be seen periodically. And I can't get a pulmonologist to see a patient. And I can't get a cardiologist in this county to see a patient. They'll look at them over the telephone, but they won't see them. I had an experience where a pulmonologist saw this very sick patient, gave them medicines, but said, don't take the medicine until you see Dr. Frankel, who can listen to your lungs. When I became a doctor, I knew the risks. I knew I'd be seeing sick patients all day long. That's what a doctor does. I've been seeing sick patients all my life. Dr. Fauci doesn't see sick patients. And it's all theory. It's all theoretical. You guys are washing things down and you're scrubbing things and they're making us do things. This is theory. I've got to tell you, it's very difficult to grow a virus. A virus is RNA. A virus has to have a host. The only way to get this disease is if I have it and I cough or I sneeze on you and you inhale at the same time. You're not going to get it from shaking hands. You're not going to get it, because you're touching elbows. You think there's less bacteria. We let them control us. They're doing this wrong. They're doing it wrong. And other states are opening up. But Governor Newsom is not. We need to put pressure on Governor Newsom. And let me tell you something. I believe we can. Look what he did. He closed the beaches. So what did the sheriff say? And he closed the beaches because he was angry at Orange County because they all went that one day, to the beach. So he closed the beaches, and the sheriff said, we're not going to enforce it. He said, oh, okay, I'm going to open the beaches, but not Orange County. But Orange County sheriff said he wasn't going to do it either. So he said, oh, okay, you can go to the beaches, but don't go and, stay away from each other. If we open the churches, he'll say, okay, the churches can be open. You know why? Because he has to maintain control. We have to take a chance. We have to open our businesses. I'm not a revolutionary. I don't want to defy the law. I respect the law. The law was put in place by God. The law was put in place so that we can live together. But he is destroying the law. And Isaiah 10 says, woe, and it's a very strong word, woe to those who create unjust laws. Woe to those who create unjust laws. It's very, very strong language. He is not going to stop unless we stand up. It's hard to stand up. It's hard to stand alone. It's hard to do it and somebody says, well, you don't care about the vulnerable. We're all vulnerable. And we have to stand up. And you're on solid medical, scientific ground. People have died. People will die. But that's the way it is in the world with viruses and bacteria. And we can't avoid that. And we can't shut down the whole world. I really thank you for listening. We have to be the people of America that we are. This is tough. This is hard. They're trying to control us. Governor Newsom has 22,000 brown shirts, I call them. Brown shirts who are going around, and they have affected me already. I've already been called by the state with my license because I have a winery. I've already been called by the county. I'm at risk. I understand that. I'm willing to take the risk. I know it. Let me tell you one more thing. I don't know if you're aware of this, and maybe this is a far from a bad analogy or an exaggerated analogy, but it's the truth. In 1939, Hitler went to the churches, and he told the churches, I'll leave you alone if you leave me alone. And they thought that was a good deal. And they watched 6 million Jews go to the gas chamber. And 6 million other people, right? 12 million people. And they did it. And it just started. What did they have? The brown shirts. They came around. Do you know anybody around here that's done anything wrong? It's starting in this country. We have to stop it. We can't let this happen. Thank you all. Yes, right. He took their guns too. You're absolutely right. You see, it's all coming together to control us. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.